with Dr. Umar, I heard people say that you're a racist. I went online and I asked the question to Google, is Dr. Umar a racist? And the answer that I got was an astounding no. Can you tell us why you're not a racist? And what is racism?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. When you look at the struggle for freedom and justice by the American African people, whenever we speak up to assert ourselves, we're always considered to be racist. Because those who are racist have a vested interest in victimizing themselves to hide their racism. So they project it on you, so they're never held accountable for it. And so we as African people have to make sure that we don't fall into an eternal trap of always explaining to people that we are not racist. We never enslaved Caucasians. We never dehumanized another people. We never created diseases to get rid of entire communities. We've never gentrified anyone. We've never reduced the value of a human life. The crimes that have been committed against us, we have never committed against anyone else. So how can someone be a racist? I've never advocated hurt or harm against another people. I've never advocated segregation or the suffering of another group. I've never said that any particular community should be done away with. All I've ever advocated, and I do it unapologetically, is that black people should marry black people and black people should build with black people. And I'm not making no excuse for that, because I see Arabs do it and nobody say nothing. I see Jews do it, nobody say nothing. I see Indians do it, nobody say nothing. But soon when a black man says black people be for black people, now we're racist. And the reason for that is everyone knows that when the black man and black woman rises, the exploitation of us by the outsiders will automatically stop. See, we don't realize how much we are worth to other people disorganized. And once we organize, that worth will eradicate itself.
Yes,
the reason I cannot be a racist, the reason why no African in this room can be a racist, is because racism is a group system. It is not an individual. It is a group system that is organized to dominate all of the resources, all of the opportunities, and all of the privileges in a given society. That is racism. So in order to be racist, you have to have the ability to control other people's options. To be racist, you have to have the ability to control other people's opportunities. To be racist, you must have control over the institutions and the resources. What do I control? What do black people control that we could use to be racist against another group? Now, we can be bigoted. I can be a bigot. I can hate white people because they're white, although I don't. I can hate white people for what they've done, although I don't. I could be a bigot. Bigotry is emotion. I hate you. Bigot is the white man driving down the street yelling the N-word out the window. That's a bigot. A racist doesn't have to be a bigot. A racist can marry you. A racist can work with you. A racist can be your best friend. A racist can be your baby dad. A racist can be your godmother, your godfather. And guess what? A lot of racists are not bigoted. They don't have anything against black people per se, but they still want white people to dominate the resources, the opportunities, and the privileges. Black power.
People been saying, Dr. Umar, he hates homosexual people. But can you talk about that?
Yes, sir.
You hate homosexuals. You know what? What happens is, brother, it's all emotional responses. People not listening to what you're trying to say. You know, we're coming from a biblical lens now. But talk about it, brother. Talk about it.
And again, when people often make those accusations against my work, I always ask them to point to a clip in the interview or the article where I said, I hate or wish harm against members of the LGBT community.
That's right.
I've never said that. What I have said and I remain unapologetic in that position, is that I do not endorse same-sex relationships.
That's right.
And as an African, I cannot endorse same-sex relationships because I know in American society in particular that there are population control agendas that have pushed same-sex relationships in our community to reduce our size in the society. Two men cannot make a child. Two women cannot make a child. So if I can convince African children to only date within their gender, we will never reproduce again as a people. And then I go a step further. Even if you support LGBTQ, children do not develop a desire for sexual relations until they start going through puberty. So if a child isn't interested in copulation until their body starts preparing for them to reproduce, which is normally around the age of 11, 12, and 13, why are we teaching kindergartners about same-sex relationships? And the reason that we're teaching kindergartners about same-sex relationships is because most psychologists know this. If you condition a child young enough, strong enough, and persistent enough, you will eliminate their ability to make that decision for themselves when they become of age. So what they're doing with that same-sex early education indoctrination is they're trying to brainwash innocent black children into never being given the option to make a decision for themselves as to whether or not they want to reproduce. LGBTQ for the black community is birth control. And we need to understand that. Black power. If black children suffer from self-esteem issues because of propaganda in media, can a white teacher repair the self-esteem of a black child? And I would argue, with no disrespect, because I know great white teachers, but I would argue that a white person cannot repair the self-esteem of black people because you have a vested interest in keeping the self-esteem damaged. And because of that, I believe that only black people should teach black children. And a big reason why I believe that is a white person cannot teach a black child how to survive racism. You have to be a victim of racism to know how to survive racism. And one of the biggest destroyers of self-esteem in black children are the white classroom teachers. And when we talk about the academic troubles of black boys, nobody ever indicts snow bunny racism as being a reason for why black boys do not exceed. If we want to raise academic excellence for black boys, you gotta give them black teachers.
But I do want to speak to the point that you said about white teachers and things like that. I mean, I'm a strong advocate for education and things like that. And I do believe that, our self-esteem can be affected by our grades and things like that. But I believe that there are good white teachers who can teach a black student and cause it, not really negatively impact their self-esteem. I mean, I'll take myself for example.
Are you a bunny hopper, my brother?
I'm not a bunny hopper. No. So we're gonna make this disclaimer right here. Okay. My preference is black women all day. Make it clear, okay? But I have
Hold tight.
What's up?
You said your preference.
What's wrong with preferring black women?
No.
I prefer black women.
Maybe y'all need to have a talk on the back end of this thing. You exclusively date African women.
I've only dated African women, yeah.
And will you exclusively only date queens?
So, just based on pattern. Everybody relax, okay? I am not a bunny hopper because I had a good white teacher. I was because the original topic I had was we talked about how You know, this is not ad hominem, right? So what happened was we were talking about teachers, right, and how they can affect the self-esteem of students. And I said, I believe that there are good white teachers who won't negatively impact the self-esteem of a black student. That doesn't make me a bunny hopper. I had Miss Cochran in first grade. Like, you get, I know it's all good. But I was in first grade, I had a teacher named Miss Cochran. She was a white woman, and I was the top of the class in a class full of white people. So this is a thing that's possible.
Good evening, Dr. Umar. According to the most reputable paleoanthropologist, life and civilization started on the continent of Africa. We can all agree with that. Amen. The father and mother of our human race lived in Africa, and as the people moved out to the colder areas, physical features, including skin color, changed to deal with the colder temperatures, etc. If that's the case, this is the person is saying, then we are all Africans, dark-skinned Africans, white-skinned Africans, Chinese Africans, etc. That's your question, okay? All right, hold on. As a matter of fact, Chinese scientists are now saying that the roots of Chinese are in Africa. Anyone can Google and read these scientific reports. This is why he's saying this. If this is the case, what's wrong if a black-skinned African chooses to marry a white-skinned African or a Chinese African? Hold on. He or she is marrying the person he or she loves, and if the children are educated to understand that we're all Africans, then there should be no issue. All right, I didn't like this, okay? Perhaps we need to educate each other in the world that we're all Africans. What do you say about that? It's a loaded question.
Great question. My quick response is, why is the bedroom the only place white people want to practice desegregation? So you want to integrate the sheets, but you don't want to integrate the bank.
130.
He is correct. Africa is the cradle of all civilization. The first person in China was an African, that's true. The first person in Europe was an African, that is true. The first person in India, in Asia, we're African. We're the first people, so we're the first people to go everywhere. And we are the mothers and fathers of everybody. The black woman is the only woman with the mitochondrial DNA. The black woman contains the genetic material of every race on earth. That is true. Dr. Umar is 2% European. Does that make me a white man?
No.
So because a white man might be 2% African, does that make him a black man?
No.
But I want to go, my position against interracial relationships is not hatred of the Caucasian. It has nothing to do with hating them at all. I respect every people, every gender, every color. I'm not a racist, I'm an African. But the reason I am against interracial marriage is because, number one, marriage is a business contract. When you get married, you're marrying each other's economic situation. And when we get divorced, too often the Caucasian woman walks off with so much of the black man's resources. And that are resources that we need to invest in our community to take care of ourselves. Only 1 out of every 4 black women in America will get married. And as someone who works in schools, I have been asked by little black girls, Dr. Umar, why is it when black men become successful, they find a wife outside of the community? Black men dating outside the community is harming the self-esteem of black girls, and it is not providing enough examples of healthy black-on-black love.
And what I would say to black men who date and mate outside the community is simply this. If the black woman was good enough for you in slavery, if the black woman was good enough for you in Jim Crow, if the black woman was good enough for you in civil rights, if the black woman was good enough for you during the Black Power movement, then why the hell ain't she good enough for you now? The black woman is the only woman that can understand the struggle of the black man. And let us be honest about something. The reason so many black men date outside the community is they don't like what they see when they look in the mirror, and they don't want their children to look like them. Black men marry white because you wish you were white. Black power.